Donor's tax. So donor's tax is imposed upon any person or natural or juridical resident or non-resident who transfers or causes to transfer by gift or donation, which direct or indirect, in trust or otherwise real, personal, tangible, or intangible property. So a tax upon one's gratitude to others. So it is a tax upon one's gratitude out of generosity. So it from the word donor's tax, it came from the word donation. So this tax is imposed for a transaction of donation. So donor's tax in the Philippines is imposed upon gratuitous transfer of property out of generosity. So donor's tax is a transfer of property out of generosity of the one who donates, who is the giver or the donor. So gratuitous means the property transferred, it is free of charge. So if mag-donate ka, so it is free from charge because donation is gratuitous act man gud siya. So it does not pay for in recovering the property from the donor. So one cited reason for the imposition of donor's tax in the Philippines is to mitigate to lessen ang gap between the rich and the poor. So that's why there is a donation, and so that the amount na it will be more able for one's will to give to donate and will be lessened by the donor's tax nga na impose. So ang donor's tax is imposed also on the indirect donation. So indirect ang donor's tax. So donation need not to be explicit to be taxable. It is under the section 100 of the Tax Code of the Philippines, imposes a tax on transfer for insufficient consideration. So insufficient consideration, this means that if you sell a property for a price much lower than the market value of that property, so you are insufficient, it means kulang. So but there is a consideration because it means nga you're selling a property which is lower than the market value. So this may happen to parties making unrealistic sales or transfers sa mga property, making it appear to be a sell for an insufficient selling price or consideration to avoid donor's tax. So, muna siya ang pasabot sa insufficient consideration. So, it is imposed on ang donor's tax imposed upon valid donations or transfer. So, to be taxable, a donation or a transfer must be validly made to produce the legal effects of a transfer of title. So, ang validity sa donation or transfer, magdepende na siya sa capacity of sa parties to make a valid donation of the transfer and the formalities of the deed of donation or deed of transfer. So, another key terms to remember in donor's tax is void donations are not subject to donor's tax. So if ang donation is void, it is directly not a subject to donor's tax because it does not transfer. Walay transaction nga nag-transfer ka og property with gratuitous nga pag-transfer nimo. So void na siya nga donation. So dili man nato ma-impose ang tax for the donation. And in donor's tax sa Philippines, it is the donor or giver who is bound to pay the tax. So if mag-donate ka, ang bound to pay the tax is ang nag-donate. So siya man ang nag-donate, so siya ang mag-shoulder sa cost sa payment sa tax. So the agreement in the deed of donation that the donor or recipient property will be the one who pay the donor's tax. So ano na siya if there is a donation, if you are qualified for donors, if the amount that you have donated is applicable for a tax on donation, so it is a donor's tax, and the one who will shoulder the payment of the tax or who will file the tax would be the donor or the one who gives the donation.